Well, Betty, I know that you wanted to get to Xi'an, and we'll do that later in this adventure, but we've got to go down the Sacred Way.
Oh, of course. I forgot about the Sacred Way. And Xi'an will wait for us, that's
I'm
for sure.
sure we'll still
Yes,
be there,
yes.
right. Now, we're going to go to the tomb of the Ming Emperor. Is that correct?
That is right. Uh-huh.
Okay, now, as we drove up to it, and this is not too terribly far from the Great Wall either. We drove up on naturally a bumpy road again, as you can see.
But again, look at the luxuriant growth of...
Beautiful.
Yeah, it
Just
really
beautiful.
is.
And the bus let us out so that we could actually walk down this Sacred Way. And we're going to see a lot of carved figures here. Some are human and some are animal forms. Betty, what's the significance of those?
Well, they were there to guard the tomb of the emperor, and they had some lying down and some standing up, the different animals. And this was to, like having a midnight shift, so that one would be able to replace the other when they took a nap
is that
at
right?
night. Yes.
Oh, and you see who found the camels right there.
Yes.
Selma did.
Selma.
She's a collector of camels on many of our trips. I thought that these were beautiful, and fortunately they were not defaced at all, as we did see on the Great Wall. Everybody wanted to carve their name into something or another. But and this guy had a real strange look on his face, because he was looking across the way at this little boy who had ventilated clothes, as you can see, both front and back. Now, those clothes are designed that way.
Isn't that marvelous? Look at them. It's so, well, I don't know how sanitary it is, but it certainly is convenient. Wouldn't we mothers like to have had something like that?
And I like this. Would you like some Coca-Cola and beer? Now, that's free enterprise system at its greatest, isn't it?
Yes, and they're not together. You don't mix the
I don't
Coke
think
and the
so.
beer. They come in separate containers.
Right. But these were magnificent carvings, and I think we were all impressed with them. In fact, it was difficult just to try and get take a photograph of it, because everybody else was doing the same thing.
Well, the carving is so intricate, and the faces, the expression on the faces were so real. It was, we were impressed by.
They are, and I think when we later on in Xi'an, when we go take a look at the terracotta figures, to see the faces on those as well. But look what a strong face this general has right here. Isn't that something? That's marvelous. And I'm not quite sure. Do you know how many of these there were all in all?
No, I really don't know. I know that it extended on down to the tomb itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think they told us, and I know I didn't count them. I beg your pardon. I do too know.
You do? Good.
Yes.
How many?
That comes out of the computer every once in a while that I remember. There were 24 of them.
24. Good.
Carved
Good.
statues.
And I just love the greenery around them, too. It just set it off so nicely. Well, we're going to wander our way up a little bit further, as you say, to get to the tomb, which you actually cannot get inside. We were going to go into one of the funeral chambers itself. And the tomb was located behind the chamber where we're going to go, but we've got to go through these gates here, and it's up a hill. And as you can see, the fellow taking tickets is dressed in the costume of one of the warriors.
Yes,
Isn't that
and he
magnificent?
charged.
Yeah, I know.
If you wanted to stand there and have your picture taken with him, you had to pay him.
There were a couple of girls inside that were doing the same thing. I tell you, free enterprise.
That's right.
It's reigning very well in
taken
communist
over.
China. Yeah. Let's listen to what Ming has to say right now.
All the front chambers, middle chambers, and rear chambers, back chambers, and two side chambers, two annexed chambers. Inside, that is the place to keep the emperor's tomb, This is the middle chambers. In the middle chambers, there are three big chairs, big thrones. They were made of marbles. You can see this is the first, and these two for the empress. Just in front of them, there are three big porcelain jar. Inside porcelain jar full of the sesame oil. The emperor thought when the door closed, nobody inside, there is an everlasting lamp. So it's full of the sesame oil. But when we opened that, we saw there's also a lot of oil there. When the door closed, there's no oxygen, no air, so no lamp. This is inside. It's just put in the back chambers. The same room. This is for the emperor and the two for the empress. But in the ancient time, only the principal wife can bury with the emperor. The secondary wife, the concubine, cannot bury with the emperor. I told you that if the wife gave the birth of the son, her position was promoted by their son or their husband, because she gave the birth of the son. The principal wife had no son with the emperor. The second wife had a son. When his son, or when their son became the emperor, her position, the second wife position, was promoted by her son, and her tomb was removed by her son. So there are two wives here. This is why they have two wives' tombs here. So this is about underground city. He had a good life in another world. He need to have a lot of soldiers, a lot of things to use. So over there you can see the golden ware and silver ware. The emperor thought he used a lot of things in another world.
Next world.
Hello everyone, Betty and Marv here to remind you about the trips that we have coming up for this year, but you know what? We don't want to talk about that really.
We don't!
No, we want to talk about the stuff that we're planning for next year for the year 2001.
Oh, Marv, we're just getting almost to a point where I've got things all in order now. We're going to plan for next year, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay,
Gotta
if you
plan a
say
year
so,
ahead, you know how it
be
is.
the boss.
Anyway, we want to go back to China. And
Yes.
if you would like to go with us, why don't you give Betty a phone call and say, hey, I'm a candidate for China. We'll also, of course, go back to the Holy Land. We're thinking about England, Ireland, and Scotland, Turkey, and South America. So if any of those interest you, give Betty a call and say, hey, Betty, I'm interested in going on one of those trips.
We don't have the brochures yet. These are all in the making right now.
Right.
We're fomenting for next year.
And so, in fact, you might have an idea of places that you would like to go. That would give us an idea for the year 2001.
I'm probably talking too much like I always do, but you know why we're going to China? Is because we go up to Guilin and we take the cruise and we're going to go to the Three Gorges, and they're going to dam that up, and this will be the last time anybody will be able to see it within the next 3 years. So all of this magnificent part of China will be lost to everyone. So we want to get in there before this happens.
We want to see it before it's all covered with water.
And we want you to see it too.
All right, give Betty a call at
488-7443.
Thank you. Well, Betty, I'm very impressed with these things, aren't you? Especially, original, as she said. My golly, these are real jewels.
They are real, I know.
Oh.
I'm amazed that they were still there.
Yeah, I am too. You would think that grave robbers would have gotten them by now. Wouldn't you?
Like in Egypt.
And like we have been talking about, now this is only one of the burial spots, that there are many others, in China.
Yeah, actually, they only did open one, didn't they?
I believe so here. Yes, I believe just one is open, and there are two others, I think, at this spot that are to be opened. These are silver ingots, and of course we're shooting, right through glass under not very good light conditions, so we're getting a lot of reflection and everything. So, and a lot of people, everybody wanting to see everything all at the same time. So you don't have too much of a time to spend in front of all these objects. And gold ingots.
Real gold.
And yes, and these are the utensils that Ming was talking about that were buried there with the emperor. They're absolutely beautiful, and that they stayed, such pristine condition after all these many years.
It's too bad they're not polished a little bit more. You could really get the gleam. You can't tell that those are gold.
Oh, that's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look at the detail work even inside some of the bowls. I'm not sure if that's a bowl or a lid, but but I wouldn't mind it sitting on my table. Would you?
Whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that's something. Hello, everyone. Betty and Marv here to remind you about the trips that we have coming up for this year. But you know what? We don't want to talk about that, really.
We don't.
No, we want to talk about the stuff that we're planning for next year, for the year 2001.
Oh, Marv, we're just getting almost to a point where I've got things all in order now. We're going to plan for next year, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay,
Gotta
if you
plan a
say
year
so.
ahead, you know how it
be
is.
the boss.
Anyway, we want to go back to China. And
Yes.
if you would like to go with us, why don't you give Betty a phone call and say, hey, I'm a candidate for China. We'll also, of course, go back to the Holy Land. We're thinking about England, Ireland, and Scotland, Turkey, and South America. So if any of those interest you, give Betty a call and say, hey, Betty, I'm interested in going on one of those trips.
We don't have the brochures yet. These are all in the making right now. We're fomenting for next year.
And so, if you, in fact, you might have an idea of places that you would like to go. That would give us an idea for the year 2001.
I'm probably talking too much like I always do, but you know why we're going to China? Is because we go up to Guilin and we take the cruise and we're going to go to the Three Gorges, and they're going to dam that up, and this will be the last time anybody will be able to see it within the next 3 years. So all of this magnificent part of China will be lost to everyone. So we want to get in there before this happens.
We want to see it before it's all covered with water.
And we want you to see it too.
All right, give Betty a call at
488-7443.
Thank you.
Leidong, the slope of Longevity Hill, is the pavilion of Buddhist incense. Start from the foot of the hill, we have the Pei Lu, jade-like firmament in bright clouds. Then its cloud-dispelling gate, Ergon Gate, cloud-dispelling hall, hall of virtuous brilliance, pavilion of Buddhist incense, and ultimately up to the top is Temple of the Sea of Wisdom. All these buildings together form a straight center skeleton up along the hill. Inside the hall for cultivating happiness, the place that can show the glamour of the past day, is the court of virtuous harmony. It is a site for Shiji to view her fondness, the theatricals. The stage is divided into 3 floors, so the plots like flying up to heaven, descending to earth, or digging down to hell can be easily presented. Boat is also known as the marble boat, since the hull is made of white marble. The origin of Kuming Lake is at the western area of Beijing, where a number of springs join together to form this nature lake. Along the lake shore there are lots of popular scenery such as Jade Belt Bridge, Spring Heralding Pavilion, West Dyke, East Lake Isles, and 17 Arch Bridge. About 50 miles from the northwest of Beijing, we reach Badaling, where the architectural wonder, the Great Wall, is located. There is a Chinese oath saying, "You are not a real hero if you have never stepped on the Great Wall before." Therefore, it is regret to stay in Beijing without visiting the Great Wall. Jiyongguan Pass is one of the 8 great sceneries in Beijing. Due to its geographical uniqueness, it becomes an important military site for many tacticians in the past history. Stretching from Jiyongguan Pass in west to Shanhaiguan Pass in east, the Great Wall is estimated as 4,000 kilometers in length. This architectural wonder can be dated back to spring and autumn warring states. As a mean of defense against raids from northern nomadic tribes, many feudal lords built boundary walls for fortification. Afterwards, Jin Emperor unified all these territories, and he used tremendous manpower to join up all these boundary walls so as to protect his empire from the barbaric Huns. This is how the Great Wall comes about. No matter how the weather is, once you step on the Great Wall facing a chain of mountains, you will feel proud and confident. The Great Wall has suffered serious damage from wind and water erosion, as well as man-made destruction. Between 1970 and 1974, an army unit stationed at Gubeikou destroyed some 3,000 meters of the wall and used stones to construct barracks. Local peasants and miners followed the army unit's example. In 1979, a special commission was established to preserve this national monument. One of its first decisions was to arrange for the reconstruction of the section at Gubeikou by the very army unit that had destroyed it. Special trains as well as excursion buses and cars connect Beijing and the Great Wall. Approximately 2 hours are required each way. The route traverses agricultural communes, market towns, and extensive rock quarries, finally reaching the wall at the rock-strewn foothills of the Yanshan Mountains, which once marked China's northern frontier. With the advance in technology, weather forecasting can be relied on complicated electronic astronomical instruments. However, this huge bronze anemometer belongs to the past history. The old observatory is at the southwest corner of Beijing. It was built in 1442 AD and was the center of astronomy during Ming Dynasty and Qing Dynasty. Therefore, it is also known as Ming-Qing Observatory. Moreover, it plays an important role in the history of cultural exchange between East and West. In order to cope with the rapid economy developments, Beijing recently has put forward a new city plan, which causes the emergence of numerous residential areas. Large number of people who lives in the traditional housing, Shiheiyuan, have moved into these residential areas. Cultural Street actually is called Li Shan. In the past, it was the site of a large factory which made glazed tiles for the imperial palace. At the beginning of the Qing, many booksellers moved there, and the area became a meeting place for intellectuals and a prime shopping district for art objects, books, handicrafts, and antiques. Being well known to China and overseas, the Rong Bao Shai is the leading shop of such kind, together with other shops of the same kind in the street, so here is known as Cultural Street. The art of preparing Beijing duck became popular in the 15th century, although the dish had existed much earlier as a delicacy for the aristocracy. The cooking process is a long and complicated one. For starters, the duck is scalded in boiling water, coated with molasses, pumped with air, and then hung up to dry for as long as 48 hours. Then it is slowly and evenly roasted over a fire of date, peach, and pear wood until it turns a golden brown color and looks almost lacquered. In this state, the shiny creature is carried to the table on a platter for presentation and approval. Applause is appropriate, not for the duck, but for the kitchen staff. From here, you can capture the whole scenic beauty of Beijing. Located at the northwest of the Imperial Palace is the Beehive Park. It is the greatest imperial park that preserved in China now, and have a history over 800 years. The white dagoba is a dominant landmark in Beehive Park. The jade bowl inside the round city is the earliest and greatest jade sculpture preserved in China now. The study of serenity, Jingqing Shai, was built in 1758. The main entrance is just opposite to the Guanghua Island. Fulfilled with the landscape beauty of Taihu, the pavilion terraces and the arched bridge lie indistinctly among those bamboos and flowers. They reflect the brightness from one another, and came to be called a garden within a garden, and the little garden of Ganglong. It was a study place for the emperor in Qing dynasty. The Nine-Dragon Screen is at the northern shore of Beihan. It is made of glazed tiles, colorful and amazing, carved with 9 dragons on its surface. They are running vividly in different forms in the wave of cloud. The Summer Palace, Yihe Yun, also called the Garden of Cultivating Harmony, was or originally the living place and garden used by the imperial court. The resort encompasses Longevity Hill, Wanshushan, and a series of palaces, pavilions, terraces, and covered walls strung out along the northern shore of Kunming Lake. There are altogether over 3,000 constructions in an area of 290 hectares. Following the shoreline of Kunming Lake is what is known as the Long Corridor. All along it are the pictures of birds and flowers, scenes from legends and famous landscapes that have been painted on the beams of the roofed walk, with a total number around 8,000. That's why it is also known as Gallery of China.
Hello everyone, Betty and Marv here to remind you about the trips that we have coming up for this year, but you know what? We don't want to talk about that really.
We don't!
No, we want to talk about the stuff that we're planning for next year for the year 2001.
Oh, Marv, we're just getting almost to a point where I've got things all in order now. We're going to plan for next year, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay,
Gotta
if you
plan a
say
year
so.
ahead, you know how it
be
is.
the boss.
Anyway, we want to go back to China. And
Yes.
if you would like to go with us, why don't you give Betty a phone call and say, hey, I'm a candidate for China. We'll also, of course, go back to the Holy Land. We're thinking about England, Ireland, and Scotland, Turkey, and South America. So if any of those interest you, give Betty a call and say, hey, Betty, I'm interested in going on one of those trips.
We don't have the brochures yet. These are all in the making right now.
Right.
We're fomenting for next year.
And so, if you, in fact, you might have an idea of places that you would like to go. That would give us an idea for the year 2001.
I'm probably talking too much like I always do, but you know why we're going to China? Is because we go up to Guilin and we take the cruise and we're going to go to the Three Gorges and they're going to dam that up. And this will be the last time anybody will be able to see it within the next 3 years. So all of this magnificent part of China will be lost to everyone. So we want to get in there before this happens.
We want to see it before it's all covered with water.
And we want you to see it too.
All right, give Betty a call at
488-7443.
Thank you.